Hello, hello.
There's a monster in the city trying to figure you out. There's a violence hit by silence and it's following you around. You can say what you say, dancing the masquerade. Still the blood drips steady as rain. There's a light in the center, but the shell is opaque. There's a smile upon your face, but I know that it's fake. You can run all you like, there is nowhere to hide, and the road keeps going.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing this evening? Yo. So, this is a game called Malys. Um, I have very little idea what my expectations should be for this game. Um, the original description I was given involved it being a card game involving exorcism. Okay, the specific title, the specific description given was Christian exorcism themed noir roguelike deck builder game. Which, who knows what that means? We're gonna find out. I'm hopeful that it's gonna be good. So we're gonna dive right in. We're gonna find out what is up here. All the usual reminders. If you're not on the Discord, that's where all your go live notifications and such should be. What? Okay, so this is fascinating. I'm not okay. I should check out the content warnings just to be sure. It does, and the soundtrack is rocking. This soundtrack is so good. Okay. Um. Content warnings include demonic energy and themes, crude language, minor profanity, smoking, alcohol, drug use, death,
There's
children in
a
peril,
violence
graphic
hit by
descriptions, suicide.
silence
Okay.
and it's following you
All
around.
right.
You can say what you say, dancing the masquerade. Still the blood drips
So
steady as
here we
rain.
go. You grasp in the darkness for your artifact. Choose an artifact. Restore 10 will at the end of. Okay, view deck first. Compel for 6 damage. Okay, damage and ward. So attack and defense, presumably. 3 salt cards. What does Miracle do? If the card is added to your hand after the beginning of your turn, it's free to play that turn. Okay. So this is probably the best card in this starting deck because it's 9 damage and can be free. Mm-hmm. So this is our gambling card for this deck. Restore 10 will at the end of every exorcism. Okay. I'm guessing will must be like health. with 5 toughen. What's the deck for this? Is this the same deck? No, it's not. Okay. So Faith Restored is a potentially powerful. I'm guessing Burned is discarded in this game. So you discard it a bunch and then it's a powerful ward for when you need it. Okay. Yeah. So Burn the Incense preserves your block for next turn. Noah is presumably our main character. Toughen has to be like bonus health or something. 1 glow per lit candle at the beginning of your turn. This has fewer attacks. You trade attacks and defense for weird things. When dealt to player, allies, or host, restores will. When dealt to an enemy, deals damage. Okay. So it's healing for your friends and damage for your enemies, okay? Sacrifice 5 will, health, and light 3 candles. Consume. I'm guessing candles are the progressions or in some way. A shackle, 50% less damage, so weak. Oh, consume, so it's exiled. Okay, fascinating. Okay, so these are the 3 decks we get to start with. Um, um, I'm thinking I'm going to start with the Obsidian Blade. This seems like a good all-around general purpose deck with some tools to make things go funky in a fun way. Um, oh, we have a motorcycle!
This is no ordinary city. No bustle of traffic, no lights, no music, no laughter.
Is this the
Eyes watch
voice
from the
actor
shadows.
for
Things crawl in the
Trevor
darkness.
in Castlevania?
The sound of heavy wings.
What? Don't like that. It was an angel, an actual celestial being who I'd met on more than one occasion. Perhaps they were even my guardian angel. It would certainly account for this particular celestial's strange interest in me, despite the fact they didn't do much guarding. More in watching and mocking, really. Oh, I sighed. I wasn't expecting to see you here. They didn't respond to my annoyance. Instead, they grinned mischievously. I've been awaiting your arrival, they announced, and then declined to say why or for what reason. It made me feel uneasy. More and watching and more mockery to come, apparently. I don't suppose you'll tell me your name this time, I asked. As I've told you before, I've had a multitude of names. Would you like me to recount them all for you? I sighed. Angel it is, then. Angel chuckled, high and light. You've come so far already tonight, and you've so much further to go before the sun rises. Further than you realize. Typical enigmatic, holier-than-thou bull. It didn't help that angels were, in fact, holier than thou. Are you going to help me then, for once? Hello! This game has incredible atmosphere. We haven't gotten to any gameplay yet, but it looks so good. But I've already helped you, Noah. Then they paused, making a show of mock surprise at my scowl. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you yet prefer Father Noah? Not for a long time, no. I was curious what they meant by already helping me. Celestials were masters at not telling you the whole truth, but it wasn't in their nature to outright lie. Instead, they'd laugh at your efforts to piece together the half truths. So asking what they meant by that was going to get me nowhere. Just tell me where he is. That's all the help I need. Angel stared at me a moment, cocking their head like a bird. Then, without a word, they lifted their head and pointed, out into the city, ahead into the darkness. Thanks for nothing, I growled under my breath. I expect no thanks for what I do, they said, completely serious for perhaps the first time. Then they spread their angelic wings wide, and with an effortless leap, they were off into the black sky and gone. I didn't bother to wait and see if they would return. With that, I rode on. My hunt had begun. Oh, boy. Huh? Okay. Lydia Curios. So... if I go left, then I face more unknowns. But if I go right, then I face more greater demons. And a whole lot less healing. I think the ideal in a game like this would be I go, like, down this middle path, maybe? This is my first run, so I'm a little hesitant to go super hard on the encounters. So I think we're actually going to take this far left track here. The book stacks. It was an old bookstore, the kind with a sign that cheerily welcomed you to come on in, but the inside was anything but welcoming. It was dark and dreary, dust and cobwebs on every surface, and no one behind the little desk near the front even to say hello. Somewhere within, I could sense a weak demonic presence. It didn't take long for it to manifest itself. As I walked amidst the aisles of shelving, I heard a child's giggle somewhere in the darkness. When I started to walk towards it, however, the giggle came from another direction, and then another. For a moment I thought there might be many children here, but then I spotted him. A young boy, feral and thin as a rail, his eyes glowing with infernal malice as he scrambled between the aisles. "Leave that child be," I said, and prepared to save him. Expel. Okay, you've encountered a lesser demon. Deal damage to break the demon's will and exorcise it from the host. Be careful to keep your ward up if the demon looks like it will attack. Study the demon's intent to get an idea of its next action. Uh-huh. Okay, so I burn candles to get... I burn cards to get energy that I then spend on the other cards. Okay. Okay, looks like it's going to be buffing this turn, so we're good to go on the offense. So let's... Alright. So generally trustworthy people. This game does feel quite good. Wrath, so it's +2 damage, and he's going to attack. I don't know how big the attack is. Oh, 8 damage from the demon. Okay, that's good to know. So I can actually afford to take this 8 damage, even if I couldn't kill it. but I can, and so I will. Come on, then, even.
I command you to be gone.
Alright. Pause for breath, light in the darkness, holy water. This card has been burnt. A card that is ashed cannot be burnt again this turn. Ashed is okay. I don't understand what that means entirely, but okay. Oh, okay. So I think I'm going to take the card draw. This is very interesting gameplay. Card draw seems especially good here because any cards I draw give me energy as well as actions. I hesitated before knocking on the apartment door. The building was a hellhole, saturated with the smells of cooking and dust. The wallpaper peeled, the lights flickered. I couldn't imagine knowing anyone who lived here, yet it felt familiar even so. The moment I knocked, the door slowly swung open. It hadn't been locked, hadn't even entirely been closed. Within was only darkness. "Hello?" I asked as I crept inside. No sense of the infernal unless it was somehow masked with all the other smells. Vomit now and sweat. If that was the case, however, why was I here? I flicked the light switch by the door and a single hanging bulb lit up the room. I immediately regretted it. An almost barren room with a single mattress, empty bottles and cans strewn about, and I was startled to see a man there, sitting on the mattress with his back to the wall, sobbing quietly into his hands. An awkward moment ensued. I said nothing, wondering if I should leave before he noticed me. It was too late, however. The man looked up, his eyes a bleary red and filled with confusion. I noticed he was wearing a long trench coat, itself heavily stained with vomit. Considering the look of the bathroom, I could hardly blame him for not cleaning up. It certainly wasn't a room I'd used to get clean. "What are you doing here?" he croaked. "Do I know you?" We'd never met, yet I had the oddest sense that I knew him from somewhere. The name Kincaid bubbled up from the recesses of my memory, though I couldn't place it beyond that. Kincaid? Again the confusion, one mirrored by my own. It felt in a way like was meeting someone in a dream, familiarity without anything concrete to explain it. Then he simply shrugged, apparently deciding that not knowing me was due to his current state and not me being a stranger, which I was. "It's not a good time, man," he muttered. Then he began to sob again, his voice breaking as he tried to smother it and failed. It's not a good time." He buried his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking. I almost turned to leave, but I couldn't. Instead, I sat on the mattress beside him. "I don't need your help," he whispered into his hands, but that wasn't how it sounded to me. Instead, it sounded like, "Please help me." So, despite the state of the mattress and despite the smell, I sat there. I laid a hand on his shoulder and we didn't talk. After a time, his crying subsided. He looked at me, seemingly more embarrassed than overcome. Thanks, but you should go." I hesitated, but now he was determined, so I did as he asked. My heart felt heavy, however. I think I can take the HP penalty, given that my relic gives me HP at the end of every encounter. Home sweet home. I knocked on the apartment door. I hoped that maybe this time someone was within who could guide me to the possessed host. Worried parents, a concerned husband, that it wasn't too late, but nobody answered. Nobody called out from within, just silence and the lingering sense of a weak demonic presence inside laughing at me. I tried the the door. I wasn't surprised to find it unlocked. As I walked inside, the first thing I noticed was the television in the living room, turned to a dead channel, only white snow and loud static. On the sofa lay a middle-aged woman sleeping. She had the sweaty, wasted look of someone who'd been there for days. Soiled tissues and empty bowls surrounded her, crumbs going stale. A small child stood next to her, poking at her shoulder. He held his teddy bear and wept, and looked to me with sudden hope. "Mama's sad," he whimpered, but I knew it wasn't sadness which had a hold of her. I already knew its name. This woman would be free. Expel the jackal demon. Okay. It's attacking me and I have no defense available. That's fine. Given it's attacking me, we're not gonna try to one step forward this turn. And I only have so many. I can actually kind of do this all at once. I don't have an ability to prevent the damage, but I'll be fine anyway. What is that? Debuff from the demon. Okay. Oh, pause for breath is an ends your turn after playing it. Okay. Good to know, good to know. We're burning our arcane boards here. We're just going for the offense.
From the grip of this unclean and unworthy spirit.
Okay, so pause for breath doesn't actually do what I hoped it would, but that's fine. What does that do? Cackle. Each stack of cackle you accumulate will increase damage dealt to you during certain demon attacks. Okay, so presumably, effectively all demon attacks. At least I should consider it that way right now. It doesn't matter. Skill them out.
Be gone, creature of hell.
Hmm. Hmm. I think the powers that be is better on a card-by-card basis than the center must hold. I was riding my motorcycle down the street when I suddenly spotted a familiar figure in an alleyway. So I pulled the bike over and walked back, half expecting that the figure would be long gone by then. But no. Angel stood there in the shadows, bold as you please, eyeing me warily. "You're following me," I accused. They nodded. Yes. Then they stood there, arms crossed, refusing to elaborate. I sighed. Dare I ask why? You dare many things, not least of which is flouting the wishes of the highest and thus placing your immortal soul in peril. A smirk slowly crossed Angel's lips, their eyes filling with mischief. But in this case, go ahead. I wanted to bash my head against a wall. Instead, I gritted my teeth. "Aren't you afraid of being seen?" I asked instead, looking around the streets. There were no passers-by, but there could have been. Afraid? No. None shall see me that I do not wish to see me. So you wanted me to see you. Of course. All right, I'll bite. Why? Angel sighed. They inspected their fingernails as if the encounter was suddenly boring them. Your hunt is going to put you in great danger, Noah. Already I can feel your mortal will having eroded. So meager, so fleeting. It's remarkable that you choose to put it at risk at all. And so you're here to what? Provide a running commentary on the health of my soul? Not at all. I offer succor. That gave me pause. Healing from this celestial being? They didn't seem to type. And you'll do that in exchange for faith, they declared with a smile. Proof that you possess it at all, proof that you deserve my aid. Typical. Hand over faith like it was made of coins I could collect just by reaching into my soul. Yet I didn't doubt that with Angel. That was indeed possible. It appeared my faith was about to be sorely tested in the night to come, assuming that Angel was correct and I'd need healing. Considering how I normally took a long and needed rest after each exorcism, but tonight I'd likely be doing many, they were probably right, much as I hated them being right. Fine, I grunted. How will I find you if I need your help? Oh, I'll be around, Angel chuckled, the same high and light chuckle I'd heard when I arrived in the city. It was like a little girl's, and it set my teeth on edge. And if you're not around when I need you? They shrugged. Why, then you'll die, Noah, like mortals so often do. I suppose it was something. More help than I'd expected from this particular being, to be honest. Ooh, upgrade is too expensive, though I would love to. Yeah, we're just gonna give Faith the discount. We're only gonna do it once, just because I don't know what things look like for this game. Greater Demon time! Underneath, the motel room smelled terrible, like death. It's not a stench I can easily describe, but it's true what they say, you'd never forget it. The room looked empty, but it didn't feel empty. I heard whispers, the soft tss, 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 that the motel management or their guests might assume to be old pipes. I knew better. Anytime I walk into a room like this, the first thing I notice is the headboard. I first noticed the bed. This one had a tall oak headboard. The bleached white sheets were pulled taut and tucked under. The wallpaper was garish, mid-century orange pumpkins and an old-fashioned well with a spinning wheel repeated every few feet. I've stayed in worse places, I thought. Then the whispers got louder. A rushing wave that surged into a shrill scream like the wail of a tea kettle, and then silence. I paused, took it in. The scream had been muffled like it was coming from one room over, but no, this was definitely from somewhere inside the room. I could feel the infernal presence here, I just had to find the source. There weren't many places to look. I checked the bathroom, but it had nothing more than a rusty tub and a used bar of soap. The closet was empty, save for those hangers that go all the way around so you can't steal them. Then the whispers returned. I followed the sound to the back into the main room. They were coming from the bed. They got louder and louder, developing again into that god-awful screech. I'd already noted that the bed was made. No room for anything under those tight covers. Whatever I was facing here had to be under the bed. I bent down and looked, but it seemed there was no under the bed. The mattress was laid on top of a built-in frame attached to the floor, three wooden panels which I suddenly realized must be hollow. The sounds were coming from inside. With considerable effort, I pushed off the mattress. I was frustrated to find that it rested on a flat sheet of solid wood, which itself sat on the frame. I knocked on it. It sounded hollow. The whispers began again. A sense of unbelievable urgency washed over me, and I pulled at the wood panel until its nails loosened and it splintered at the seams. There was a crack in the wood box now. It was so dark inside. From within the darkness, the eyes of a frightened woman peered out at me. "You found me," she whispered, her voice raw from days, perhaps weeks spent screaming. I realized it wasn't her speaking, of course. It was the demon. In the darkness of the wooden box, I could make out the woman's shape. Thin to the point of rails, emaciated, she looked like a living corpse, and I wondered how long she'd been under there, trapped. Go away, she whispered. Let us rot in peace. I would do no such thing. Okay, I've encountered a greater demon. This demon is stronger than those you've defeated before and is powerful enough to obscure its true nature. Until you break its will, the demon's intentions are hidden from me. Okay. Okay. No better time than when you have no idea what's going on to make, to apply vulnerable and wrath. Damage, okay. I don't know what's happening here, but we're gonna take a ward, a shield. I don't trust the rest of this. Hi, Dysthemia. Endure. Okay, so it's summoning this turn. Okay, so there's 3 of... Okay. Alright. We're not getting attacked this turn, so we're going to go on the offense. Let's try to take one of these out. We're gonna kill all the little things before we deal with the big thing if we can. Okay, that's not tenable. Doing it that way is not. Oh my dear, what? Oh, they're getting attacked by... Oh, it's killing them all to heal itself. Fascinating. Okay, so I definitely want to be being careful here. One moment. Okay. This is a fascinating gameplay loop and a fascinating implementation. I'm gonna take a bunch of damage here. I don't like it, but... Okay, so it is only killing one of them. Okay, so I do need to just have... shield up at all times. Got it. doesn't seem interested in actually attacking me. It's just focusing on fighting its own creatures for health. Yeah.
Defend us against the spirits of wickedness in this world of darkness.
We want to keep having card selection as much as we can. Now it's going to go on the offense. Oh, it's not attacking us. Interesting. In that case, we can go full offense.
Defend those who you have redeemed at great price from the tyranny of evil.
Okay, now it's summoning the minions back so it can keep doing this cycle. We can afford to one step forward this guy, actually.
Behold the light, thing of darkness. Behold the mighty and tremble before That's all this.
Only one. Interesting. I have another turn of vulnerable on the creature, so I can afford to do this.
We will persevere. The
I
blessed will drive you
should
from
have
our
kept a
hearts.
third damage spell. The third compel. Well, time to murder this guy.
As wax melts before the fire, so the wicked shall perish.
Expel! What? The demon is desperate and the host is at risk. Some of the demon's more powerful actions may threaten the host. Oh no. Oh, it's gonna hit me for 9 4 times? Jeez. We're gonna put up as much defense as we can. That's not gonna be near enough. With the rest, I suppose.
I humbly prostrate myself before the eldest powers.
Gotta take out some of this damage it's dealing. Oh, this is bad. So we need one arcane shield. But only the one. Because we're killing that guy. Why is that still here if it's dead? It's 0 health. What? Hold on.
I beseech you to deliver us
I
from
can't
the
get rid of them. Okay, I can. Oh, I'm dying here. I simply can't stop it. Ugh.
I did all I could.
Hey, Miss Crow. If you would. Alright, fascinating. New run. I just want to go right back into it. Any new artifacts? Just the same? Okay, we're gonna try the Obsidian Blade again. I do like the health regen. It makes the rest of the game easier.
This is no ordinary city.
I grimaced as I saw the Celestial perched above. Oh, you again. They nodded. I see you've returned. Yes, My head swam suddenly and I felt confused. Uh, wait, we already spoke. I rode into the city. I've been there. Give me just a moment to ban this guy. And oh, it didn't actually get published to the chat. Oh, that's nice. Sorry. Spam bots. Wait, we already spoke. I rode into the city. I've been here. Angel watched me carefully, like a hawk, their expression enigmatic. They said nothing as I looked around at the same lights, the same buildings. It was all somehow familiar. Did I die? The question wasn't intended for Angel, but they responded regardless. You don't seem dead to me, Noah. Do you feel dead? I glared at them. Is this your doing? Did you save me? Many things are my doing, but not all. Again with the enigmatic smile, and this time it filled me with rage. Just answer the damn question. You barely made it through the port. Angel wagged their finger at me like I was a disappointing child. You'll have to do better than that if you want to reach Malys. So you do know why I'm here and who I'm hunting. I grinned up at Angel, noticing their displeasure at their slip. Oh, how they hated revealing more than they wanted to. And you saved me. They glared at me. You assume a great deal. You aren't the first to say that. I rode off once again, not waiting to see if they had more to say. Interesting. Okay, so we don't want a ton more greater demon encounters, but we certainly want more lesser demon encounters because those give us more card options. And we're desperately in need of good card upgrades. Let's try this path that takes us through the Curios shop. I stood before the small church, noting that it didn't give any sense of peace. I usually found that even a run-down and meager place of worship still retained a bit of the hope that those within brought to it. But this was a church stripped of hope, worn down to its tired timbers with a weak infernal spirit still gnawing away at the bones. I could sense it nesting inside like a parasite. Steeling myself, I walked through the doors. There were only a couple of worshippers inside, each as far apart from the others as the pews would allow. None of them were praying, however. They appeared to be waiting. For the priest, perhaps? He was nowhere in sight. I found him in the back, locked into his office. When I knocked, he screamed in terror, and I knew the demon was within. The flimsy door was easily kicked open. Rather than react in rage, the old man within, dressed only in a flimsy and soiled nightgown, retreated into a corner and blubbered, as frightened as the demon within him. It would pay for violating this holy place. This one has a minion. Ah, I thought so. So, one of the advantages I've quietly discovered in this game is that you can theoretically save candles for the next turn. Also, yes, this art I'm so impressed with the style of this game. It looks so good. So this little darkness thing is going to prevent me from holding on to power over the course of turns, which is fine. What we're going to do here, we're going to dump these. We're going to apply these wards, and we're going to pop the Salt Prison so that we can start dealing damage. I don't think this Darkness Theme matters. It's not doing me any damage, and I have no particular way or need to preserve, like, energy over turns. To the point of I'm going to go ahead one step ahead this guy. Because I might be able to take him out now. Yeah, I got him.
Your evil festers no more.
Explosive Entreaty. Draw a card and add volatile to it for the remainder of the exorcism. This is really good. Double the ward I get from my regular cards. Oh, I take 5 damage to it for the remainder of the exorcism. If I burn it. Okay. Still probably really good. 2 Fortify and 2 Phantom and 1 Phantom Miracle Pocket. Okay. Interesting. 1 Shackle plus 1 additional Shackle per ally in your hand. I don't have allies yet. I think I take Explosive Entreaty. It's a very, very good card for the low cost of being careful about what I'm burning. And that's something I should be being careful of anyway. At first I thought I must be in the wrong place. A wealthy apartment, dark but otherwise unremarkable. The sort of place that didn't really belong in this city, but which you could find in corners the Nova rich had carved out for themselves. Within moments I felt it, just as I had outside, an infernal presence hiding somewhere within. Giggling to itself, a demon impressed with how well it hid from me. I caught a sight of it, a full-grown man peering around a wall before he vanished again. More giggling as I heard footsteps running on the plush carpets. Hide and seek, was it? This wouldn't be much of a challenge. A special action. We can kill it before it does that.
Protection, grant us thy mercy.
Foul demon. Seven light, 2 spark. Miracle. That's solid. I need more draw cards to do it before I do get that, though. This is the opposite of the Explosive Entreaty card. I think I want to try this Burning Gaze. Either that or take this Final Verse. One of the two. I would kind of love to take this, but I think it's too expensive. I don't have the draw power to make it happen. Let's try the Final Verse. No, let's do Burning Gaze. One of the problems we ran into last run was we kept not having enough damage, and getting to apply Vulnerable makes it really good for damage. Okay, time for our first Greater Demon of the night. Or second Greater Demon of the night. First of the run. I stopped my motorcycle outside a restaurant, constantly surrounded by a cloud of fried food smells and despair. A single bored attendant manned the drive-through window, but there seemed to be no customers there or outside. I wasn't here for the food. Indeed, the stench alone would have dissuaded me if I were hungry. No, I stopped here because I sensed an infernal presence. It wasn't coming from inside, however, so where? I walked around uncertainly, eventually circling around to the back where the restaurant hoarded its garbage and waste grease in a series of large bins. The stench here was worse, as was the infernal presence. I approached the bins prepared for anything. I do really like the writing in this game, it feels very nice. I noticed one of the grease bins was open. It was filled almost to the brim with a grayish sludge littered with crumbs and dead flies, and something was moving inside. At first, I thought it must be an animal. Then I recoiled, seeing it was a person. A woman emerged from the sludge, and she was smiling. A great big grin on her face as if she was a child splashing in the tub. "Help me," she said, her voice the scratchy bass of an elderly smoker. Her smile grew wider and she giggled. "Please, help me." The smell made me want to gag. The woman slapped her hands on the surface of the grease, splashing it. I felt some spackle my face and coat, and again my gorge rose. She began to rub the goo onto her dress and upper arms like it was soap when she was trying to make a lather. Demons make humans do all sorts of strange things. Some like to play around, experience what it is to have human feelings, or perhaps to test their limits. I thought I'd seen it all over the years. I'll admit, however, that this was a new one even for me. "Stop this," I commanded the demon within her. "You've had your fun." The woman stopped her playful splashing, her head swiveling around to face me like a doll under the guide of some childish hand. "But have you had yours?" taunted the deep voice from within her. "Why don't you come in here with me, sweetie? There's plenty of precious filth to spare." I took a deep breath and reached into the bin with both arms. The grease was surprisingly cold and the woman shockingly light. I heaved her out of the bin with considerable effort, tearing my coat in the process. She landed on the asphalt in a gooey mess and snarled like an animal. The demon wasn't happy with me. "You picked the wrong night to cross me," I said, scrambling to my feet as I readied for the coming fight. Okay, so this is just a ton of different things that are going to be happening here. So this first, we just got to try to deal. We're going to assume we're good. We have no ability to predict what's going to be happening here. So in my opinion, the best way to deal with it is to just not and just fight. Let's see where we're at after this burning gaze.
Have always fought against the most
Perfect.
ancient of evils.
Reveal!
Tell me your name, demon!
Belphegor. Endure. It's going to buff a random target? Presumably itself, right? This art is such banger. This is such banger art. Oh. Why can't I just use that at end of... Oh, it replaced one of the cards I would normally have gotten in hand. That's annoying. Okay, we're gonna burn that. We're gonna... There's no reason I can't... try to compel and then store some stuff. This is supposed to go away at end of turn. So end of turn, right, it disappeared. Wait, did I accidentally keep it by doing that? No, I didn't. I did the right thing there. Well, time for the explosive entreaty. That's fine. Oh, it looks like it buffed the damage, too. Oh, I've been wrathed. Okay. Burn that so I can apply a bit more ward. We're gonna burn these two so that we can play out these two.
I command you, O wicked serpent, O deceiver of innocence.
I like that the cards that are volatile have such a super visible effect to denote them as such. It makes it really easy for me to know what I need to be doing. Like which cards I need to be watching out for on that. So we're obviously arcane shielding. And burning gears. And we're gonna compel assault prison. And assault prison. Yo! Oh, if I'd been a little bit more bold and waited to do my arcane ward, I might have been able to kill it, because then I might have been able to compel it for that last 11. I need to be slower and more methodical about how I deal with these things.
I cast light upon the darkness.
We are gonna explosive entreaty again, just in case it deals damage. Okay. It's attacking her and me. No, it's attacking me and siphoning some will off of her at the same time. Okay. No, we are not letting this demon get away with this. Ow, demon.
It ends here.
Okay. This is much more... that first greater demon I fought left me a little scared about how these greater demons fight would be. That's much more manageable than I feared it would be. Oh, thorns. Silvered as thorns. Ten ward and 2 toughen. Aid from beyond seems quite good. I'm kind of tempted to take none of these, though. Aid from Beyond right now only saves me 1 candle for 1 turn. It certainly could be much better as we go along, though. Blood of the Carpenter, I don't like it as much as my Explosive Entreaty. No, I think we're skipping. Oh, do I have to? No, I can't skip. Great. We're gonna check out the curio stop. The nightclub. The nightclub is the kind of dimly lit, smoky place one would find the worst of humanity. You could hear their low whispering, seated in the shadows just out of sight, voices barely carrying over the music. And the music itself, I was expecting jazz, something deep and swank to pair nicely with the tang of cigarettes and alcohol, but this had a strangely alien feel to it, sonorous, crawling along the skin, seeping into your soul. I couldn't identify where it was coming from, only that it had the ability to either keep you out or invite you inside. It must have invited me, for I suddenly realized I couldn't recall coming inside. I was simply there. I looked for a place to sit. It's the end of every exorcism. Okay, so I must have been an 84 at the end. Maybe there was an act to listen to, I figured, or a proprietor with an eye for the odd or unusual arrival. I'd barely sat down when I learned it was the latter. A woman emerged from the recesses of the club, sauntering over to my table with a glint in her eye that spoke of mischief. She had dark skin and a darker dress, as well as a warmth to her, an aura that made her feel more vivid than almost anyone else I'd encountered in the city so far. I was instantly mesmerized. "You're new here," she said with a grin, taking a long and casual drag from her cigarette holder. That doesn't sound like a question. Her grin widened. It's not. She could tell I was sizing her up warily, and while I thought she was delighting in the attention, I slowly realized she was sizing me up right back. "The name's Lydia. This is my place, and you're out of your depth, stranger." I was about to protest that I'd been invited, that I felt invited, but she waved an elegant hand to cut me off. "In the city," she chuckled. "Not in the club. Here, you're welcome." "Ah, then my name is Noah." "Noah." Lydia seemed to almost taste the name, rolled it around in her mouth as if it had a fascination all its own. She took another long drag, her eyes sharpening as she continued her appraisal. There was a power in them, I realized. I could feel a hint of the arcane that clung to her, strong and eldritch. This woman was much, much more than she seemed. "I can help you, Noah." It felt as if she'd come to some kind of decision. "In fact, we can help each other if you're willing. One can never be too careful in a city such as this, after all." "What kind of help do you need, exactly?" I said, my suspicions growing. "Let's start with your faith," she said lightly. "You have it to spare, and it's as good in my hands as any others. In exchange, I'll give you access to my stores of charms and potions, things that I expect you'll find quite useful on your journey." Ah, yes. One more being in the city who wants to barter for my faith. "What do you know of my journey?" I asked. "Only a little. Return any time and tell me more about it if you like." She turned and walked away, her hips swaying to the rhythm of the music. "We can talk more then about the help I need." I had a drink and left, wondering who this Lydia was and what I'd gotten myself into. Okay, I don't have anything that does either of those. I don't have anything that does either of those. I don't have any allies, so I'm going to give faith. That's a permanent discount. Let me look at the map. Yeah, we're good with only doing it the once. Yes. Once again, I spotted Angel standing in an alleyway, not hiding precisely, as it was easy to spot those rings from the road as I drove by on the motorcycle, but certainly out of the way. When I doubled back and walked to the alley on foot, I found them studying the graffiti with a puzzled expression. "These are all from different portals," they said, pointing to a section of the wall where numerous lines were written in a wide array of fonts. "They seem to respond to each other, yet I do not understand the point." "Hello to you, too." "This one," they continued, "appears to disparage the writer of the line below, But then this one, they pointed elsewhere, I think claims that both others are lacking in character? There's no point, I sighed. It's just expression. It's street art. Expression without purpose isn't art. When was the last time any celestial being produced art? Angel seemed like they were about to respond, but then decided against it and then looked troubled by their lack of response. I decided to change the subject before we spent an hour discussing graffiti. Tell me about Malys. That drew their attention and they smirked at me. Malys is your quarry. Surely a skilled hunter such as yourself would have gathered all there is to know before you began. Assume I know nothing. Do you know nothing? I found the Celestial's love of talking in endless circles annoying. There's no way I'd know as much about one of the Fallen as one of the hosts would. They nodded, conceding my point. I could spend the rest of your mortal days telling you all the things I know of Malys, and yet none of it would aid your hunt, Noah. What about strengths, weaknesses? So wait, we went hunting after a fallen, so presumably a fallen angel. And are having to fight through a barrage of demons to get there. Why? What about strengths, weaknesses? They are far, far more powerful than you. Suddenly, Angel's smirk whitened. And as for weaknesses, there are none a being such as yourself could exploit. That can't be true. Every demon has a weakness. Even the most powerful devil has them. Blind spots, obsessions, things that can lure them out. Yes, Angel agreed, said nothing more. I stared at them in frustration, but they'd already returned their attention to the wall. I'd had enough. It was time to return to my hunt. I can afford to upgrade a card this time. What do we want to upgrade? Assault candles would be a great upgrade. What does explosive entreaty upgrade to? Ooh, 20 board. That's really good. What about burning gaze? Too vulnerable. We're playing a pretty aggressive deck. And I would like to double down on that aggression. This may be a mistake. We're gonna go this way, because I want to see what the card thing is. What lies below. One would expect the hospital to be bustling, especially in a city like this, but as I approached this one, it seemed only quiet. No one at the reception. A few patients sat around in the waiting area, suffering quietly yet uncomplaining. A single fluorescent light overhead buzzed and blinked. I thought the demon I sensed might be in one of those waiting, but no. It was elsewhere. It wasn't long before I found a set of dark stairs leading down into the darkness. The lower floor opened up to what was probably an old laundry room, filthy and deserted. It smelled of mildew and dust. There was something else, too, an acrid odor, particularly pungent, but though I couldn't place it. Walking around, I eventually spotted a young man in coveralls. He was mixing something in an old tub, a liquid that sloshed and oozed suspiciously. He jumped when he noticed me. He was pale and sweating, his eyes wide. I'd found the host. Time to drive it out. Another jackal demon. How interesting. I'm not going to use explosive entreaty because the primary use I have for it in this moment would be to get Soul Prison, and I already have that, so I don't need it. I heal 10 at the end of this, so I don't even mind taking the 4. I think I'm just going to go all in on an offense this turn. Oh well.
Release your hold and tremble before the righteous.
Burn. Yeah, we can get it. Burn.
On the ancient powers who like it. Haru, leave us. Return whence you came.
Um, let's do within thy hands. Um, having some. Hmm. No, that's too expensive. I'm kind of tempted to skip this time. Yeah, I'm gonna skip. I found myself at the door of the mansion, a luxurious and sprawling place that was entirely at the odds with the dilapidated buildings I'd seen everywhere else in the city. It occurred to me to wonder what exactly I was doing there, who I expected to find within. Curiosity prompted me to reach towards the delicately wrought doorbell, but before I'd even pressed it, the door opened. An elderly servant stood on the other side, regarding me impassively. "The master awaits within," he said, and stood aside. That was it. No mention of who this master was, what he wanted, or how he knew I was coming. What else could I do? I went in. The inside of the mansion was just luxurious as the exterior, but cold and still, like a museum. I was ushered into what I assumed was a sitting room, but I didn't have to wait long for the master to make his appearance. Suddenly, he was standing before me as if he'd been there all along. A seemingly young man in a snappy suit, pale locks falling across the most chilling, hungriest eyes I'd ever seen. The moment they bore into me, the faintest flicker of a smile dancing across the man's cruel lips, I knew exactly what he was. "You're a demon," I growled, quickly reaching into my pack for a weapon. He watched me with an air of amusement and no alarm whatsoever. "And you are an exorcist. And you are an exorcist." His voice was faint and had an unearthly timbre, sending a shiver up my spine. I paused, waiting to see what he'd do before I attacked, and he nodded as if this pleased him. "I am often called the Collector," he said, "but you may call me Gideon whenever you visit." "And what makes you think what makes you think I'd visit to do anything other than banish you from this earth?" "Because you aren't hunting me, exorcist. You're hunting Malys." "How do you know that?" I demanded. "I make it my business to know all who come to this city. Why they're here, what they desire." Gideon said the last word with relish and then sat on a nearby chair. He did so languidly, assuming an air of comfort that ignored the fact he was an infernal creature and thus my enemy. "I trade in souls, you see." He gestured at the odd array of cards that lined the inside of his oversized coat. "Do you like?" "I don't, and you won't have my soul, demon." A slight raise of an eyebrow and a smirk said, "We'll see," without him uttering a word. "Nevertheless, we can do business, you and I. And why would I want to do business with you?" "The greater good, of course. You want Malys, and I'm happy to assist for a price." I stood there, not even bothering to ask. "Faith," he clarified. "In return, I'll happily deal with you for items in my collection. Items you cannot live without, quite literally." His slow smile was that of a shark's. "Thus begins any good business relationship, wouldn't you agree?" Yet another being in the city wanting to bargain for my faith? Why was I not surprised? I didn't stay long. I wasn't as certain as Gideon that I'd ever be back. Uh-huh. Removal 60. Buying depends, of course. Yeah. Raider Demon time. We're in a good place for this. We're in a good place for this. I was back in the dusty motel room, the one where I'd discovered the emaciated, possessed woman trapped within the base of the bed. Left for dead. Left to scratch helplessly at the wood, left to scream and starve while the demon fed on her suffering. The mattress was back, just as I'd originally found it, untouched as was the base. Once again I heard the faint sounds and the desperate muffled whispers. The woman was back where I'd discovered her. I froze at the motel room entrance, a shudder passing through me as I remembered dying at this demon's hands. I remembered the floating, fetus-like abomination it presented itself as. I remembered its raw hunger, its primal need that smothered everything it clung to. What I couldn't remember was its true name. Surely I had revealed it, so why did it now slip from my mind like a dream? Was this part of the night's renewal or some demonic defense? I had no idea. But could I simply walk away? Until now, I'd always had the luxury of preparing for an exorcism. I'd spent days, even weeks, investigating who a host was and why they might have let the demon inside. Then I'd rest once the rite was done. But this, the hunt for Malys, was a marathon. How could I justify exorcising demons who wouldn't stay exorcised? And then I heard the from under the bed and a whimper. No, I couldn't abandon her, not when I knew she was there. So things are resetting. How interesting. Like, this is... Are we... I wonder how aware that we're resetting characters that aren't the angel are going to be. Because that's going to be very telling as to what's going on here.
Fought against the most ancient of evils.
Wrath doesn't, while the vulnerable will go down, the wrath won't. And so, as, like, I don't need to do a whole lot this turn, this is an ideal time to, and I'm not expecting to have to do anything for a bit. This is an ideal time to set that up. Because I remember this demon. And I know what it does. Which means we know how to fight it. Okay. Time to find out if this just deals me damage or if it has to deal with my shields. It does go through my. It does deal with my shields. Perfect. The fewer of those things are around when we go to phase 3, the better. Start next turn with a candle lit.
Another minion falls. Lend me your arcane might. Aid me in the battle against the shadows. Behold the light, thing of dark, begone! Back to the pits.
Yep. And now it's continuing to try to attack random demons, but random minions, but there aren't any. So I actually have a couple of free turns here to deal with it as I need. Except I don't want to take too much damage off this volatility. So I actually am going to use the shield. It's a little inconvenient, slows my damage, but we do what we have to do. I think we should have another turn of it doing this. No, it's going to summon now. Gotcha. We're going to one step forward ourselves again.
We will overcome. We will persevere. The blessed will triumph. Begone.
I don't need more than one arcane shield. These each do huge amounts of damage now. And it's going to kill that before it gets the chance to kill me, so I can focus the rest of my turn on killing it. No, I really just need to not be giving it Wrath. I've changed my mind on that. I need to not be giving it Wrath. That needs to be for me.
Prostrate myself before the Elder's powers, whose whispers still echo. Begone!
All right, now's the turn we go into exorcism phase. I'm going to lose 2 of those at least. Or I can not go into exorcism and clear out both of these. I would rather do that. If I can go into exorcism with no leeches whatsoever, that's incredible. Yeah. Gone, foul demon. Um. See, this is good because now I'm in a place where I can focus. It's just me and the demon.
This is the hour of our need. This is the hour of our dread.
Ooh, even just having that one extra turn is proving so useful. But dysthemia is still such a tough foe. Okay. Burn, demon.
Our voices
Out
rise.
with thee.
Back to the pits. I command you.
Exercised. Ugh. 1 damage 4 times? That stacks incredibly well with Wrath. But it's also 2 energy? Oh, Violent Recollection. That's exactly the sort of card I need. Just draw more cards. I don't think I'm up to going 3 demons in a row. 3 greater demons in a row yet. Maybe once I'm better at this game, but not right now, certainly. I pulled my motorcycle over, unsure if this was the right spot. After a few minutes, I'd almost decided I'd gotten it wrong, moved on, but then she appeared as promised. Who's directing him to these places? As she sized me up, I could tell she was considering turning around and leaving me there. I suppose I wasn't very impressive, or maybe she would just consider her problem beyond anyone's help. Certainly beyond the help of some ex-priest on a motorbike. It's all right, I told her. I can help. She rolled her eyes. Nobody can help. I've asked around. Anybody who says they can help, they're the worst of the lot. They make it worse. I know how that is. Either they don't believe you or they can sense the evil and are drawn to it. But it's not too late. She fought back tears. You might be wrong. I don't think my husband is even in there anymore. It's been so long now. It wasn't long before she led me to her home, and there the real battle began. Oh, this one has so much more HP. What the heck? This is such a more dangerous version of the... Okay, we absolutely can't one step forward under these circumstances. I think we're burning these 3. We'll do damage this way. And then block at least a bit of this? This is absurd amounts of damage. Summoning this time? Okay.
Leave
Ouch!
this innocent and be gone.
No, I think we don't take any of these. Excuse me, mister. Coming through. Gotta go. A kid just shy of his teens barreled into me with full force, almost knocking me off my feet by the sheer surprise of it. I was only collecting my wits, the kid long gone when I realized what he'd done. I'd been in enough seedy places to know when I'd been pickpocketed, just apparently not enough to realize it when it was happening. Hey, come back here, I shouted and ran after him. The kid led me on a merry chase through the maze valleys that led behind the main streets. He almost lost me twice, never once looking back, but I was good at this. Plus, when I finally caught up to him, he'd completely stopped running. Instead, he stood next to an old man seated on a bench. The man had rumpled clothes and an unkempt appearance, and was slumped over in a way that suggested he might be asleep. Or dead. Frank? The child asked, his voice trembling. I walked up behind them warily. The kid barely noticed my approach. Instead, he poked at the old man's body until it rolled over and off the bench completely. I could see the man's pale face now. I kneeled down beside him and felt his neck for a pulse. Nothing. He was dead and cold without a doubt. I didn't do it. He was like this when I got here. But he was fine when I left him. Is this your father? I asked. No, but he takes care of me sometimes when there's nowhere else to stay. The kid continued to stare, his expression numb. I realized this might be the first dead person he'd ever seen. Then the kid looked at me, his eyes wide with hope. But you can bring him back again, right? You're a holy man, aren't you? You can ask God to make him alive again? How do you know that? I asked. I never said I used to be a priest. I didn't say priest, he replied. He held something out in his hands, clearly what he'd stolen, my crucifix. I said a holy man. I wasn't certain what to say next. It doesn't matter how holy I am or not, I said slowly. Nobody can bring him back. This is part of life. God could, he sighed and returned to staring at the dead man as if waiting for him to revive. I couldn't argue. Perhaps God could, but he wouldn't. All I could do was try to comfort the lad, though it felt like very little. In fact, it felt like nothing at all. I had to leave him there in the end, somehow feeling somehow empty and useless. I would always rather you lose health than money. You will not take my money, separate me from my money. As I rode my bike out of the lower stacks and into the part of the city the locals referred to as the Strip, I felt at once pleased by how far I'd already made it, as well as increasingly concerned that I hadn't yet encountered any demon of real substance. Here, in a city as steeped in the infernal as this, it seemed almost too good to be true. No sooner had the thought crossed my mind, however, I felt it. A powerful presence here in the Strip, calling to me. Unable to refuse, I pulled my bike over it. It looked like a simple office building, a construction company, closed. All the lights out. But not to me. The infernal call came from within. I tried to resist, but my feet moved one after the other. Like a puppet, I felt myself pulled towards the door marked main office in big bold letters. The door was ajar, beckoning, the office behind it pitch black. The stench of evil was almost overpowering. This was a demon of substance, if not a member of the hierarchy itself. It would brook no refusal to its summons, especially not from a lowly mortal such as myself. I stopped trying to resist. It was time to face this, whatever it was. Inside, from what I could see, was just a simple office, mahogany desk, filing cabinet, cross affixed to the wall almost mockingly. And seated at the desk, a large man, only a shadow in this darkness. Then, with a loud click, he turned on the desk lamp. It was an older man, white-haired, wearing a business suit, the kind of man who occupied the plush chairs of offices like this, pumped up with his own self-importance, bloated on the taste of power he held over others, but his eyes were black as midnight. "You called?" I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. He grinned, the teeth now transformed into sharp fangs, yellowed and stained with blood. This was a demon that had completely subsumed its host. I wondered if there was anything of the mortal man left inside at all. Trash like you needs to stay in the lower stacks, he growled. I could hear whispers behind his voice like a chorus of minions eager to burst forth. And the strip is mine. It's all mine and always will be. As always, I said, my gaze meeting his unflinchingly. The hunger of your kind exceeds your grasp. And what are you gonna do about it, little exorcist? I will drive you out of that man and continue on my way. That's what I'll do. He laughed, more of a surprise to chortle, really, from deep in his belly. This man had a hunger to match my own. He invited me in, eager to bathe in the riches of mortal sin. With open arms, he welcomed the darkness. And now he is your slave. I know there is something of him yet, and he cries out for help. Oh, I have no doubt. The man's dark eyes glinted. Unfair, he'd say. I wanted more, he'll say. But the glutton got all the time I'm willing to give him. I set my pack on the ground beside me. We'll see about that. Oh boy! I love 4 turns of having no idea what's going on. Okay, that's good. I like seeing that as the initial damage. Ugh, so close. So close. Please don't just... Okay. There was a world where he just instantly killed me, and I didn't want that. Burning gaze!
Speak thy name!
Mammon? Huh. The demons of this game look horrifying. It's great. Oh, boy. We must resist the devil. Out, foul demon. Oh, 50% damage on the axe. Okay. Good thing I'm so good at applying vulnerable. Special action. I'm going to assume it's not damage. Like that the special action doesn't involve damage because it doesn't seem to. What now? Oh. Oh my dear. I have to. At least I'll only do one.
Drive out the evil before us.
Oh boy, I kind of really love how this game is playing. It feels good. I also love how this game encourages you to do something with all of your cards, even if you don't, even if it's not what you would like to be doing with them. It makes every decision feel important in a way that is really healthy for a game like this. It's really easy to... I think it's... I probably could have... it doesn't matter. I'll kill it. Oh, I love the extra faces coming out from it in this spell phase. Sorry. Compared to Slay the Spire, which is an obvious comparison to make, right? I think this captures a lot of the same vibe of Slay the Spire, while also managing to have very different, some very different, like, actual gameplay. It feels, strong. It has the same, a lot of the same, like, algorithmic, like, what do I need to do each turn? Um, it has a lot of that same, like, algorithmic, like, figure out what you need to do vibe. But it does so without, sorry, I'm trying to think about how to explain this. It has a lot of the same vibe while having a different enough system that it forces you to think about your cards in a very different way. I would compare it. I would position it as like comparing like like I would compare it like Hearthstone to versus Magic. Where Hearthstone has, or more realistically, Lorcana, but Magic's the more prevalent, like, understood thing, where in Hearthstone, you kind of automatically progress in energy, and you just have an amount of energy that you can use to play your cards. versus in Lorcana, um, the cards you're playing are also the resource you're spending. So it's a very different arithmetic, and that's why it can do things like these volatile cards that when they burn they deal damage to you. It feels good because um it's incorporated into the gameplay loop in a very different way. I think I'm not taking any of these as much as I would like to. No, I can tie them down. Oh, I could go immediately into a greater demon. I don't know if that's the best idea. It's interesting because you have to do the math of what shops you want to see in this game. I'm thinking of going this way because I'm doing like one of these ways because I want to put some distance between shops just so that I don't like run out of money when I really need it. And I think I am going to try to go straight into a greater demon. The rewards for killing a greater demon are just so good. The alleyway was narrower than most. It smelled like hamburger grease and ripe peaches. I was careful to step over a puddle of dark liquid that was definitely not water. A muggy midday stroll through the creepier arteries of the city. The sun was in the perfect spot right in front of me, right between the buildings and shining in my eyes, making it impossible to see straight ahead without putting up my hand. I'm so cold, a woman said. It was only then that I noticed her. She was cowering in a corner where a wall met a trash bin. Her skin was grayish yellow and looked almost covered in wax. Her teeth chattered. Though she was dressed for much colder weather, she was still shivering as if freezing to death. This was no illness or eccentricity. I was sure of it. Something was making this woman cold from the inside. I could feel the presence of the infernal on my skin like an icy chill. I'm so cold, she repeated, violently trembling all over. Please help me. Glottal stops like she was gagging on each word, like there was something in the woman's throat. She started to water at the mouth. It dripped out the edges as she bent over and vomited snow, pure white snow. Then she coughed some blood in it. This demon had to be flushed out before the woman turned to ice from the inside out. That's a horrifying demon. Burning your body to ice from the inside out? That's horrifying. I need this down now.
Your true name.
Fall toward. Endure. Oh. I know I keep saying it, but the art for this game is gorgeous. Frost, a demon with a frost barrier. Okay. This game rocks.
from this tyranny.
To anybody wondering why I keep one step forwarding myself instead of the enemy, it's because I want the stacks. It's because I want the stacks of wrath.
Be gone.
Oh, that was the only way it was doing damage? Okay, that's convenient. I don't like that, actually. What? Oh, it's going to drop a puppet or something that's going to... It's going to drop a puppet or something that's going to deal me that much damage in return. No? Okay. Why do I have extra salt? Where did it come from? Did I accidentally not use all my salt? We are once more going to one step forward ourselves. Because I think we're clearing this phase this turn. Well, ideally we would be.
So we may crush this evil and drive
But they're
it back
not
to the pit
attacking
whence it
next
came.
turn anyway, so it's fine. Store up some energy. Ah, so the puppet it summoned had the toughness of what I summoned, what the damage I had dealt it behind it. Okay, interesting. And is still dealing the damage through the puppet as well. Okay.
I come up there.
We're gonna drop the rest of these into our... to relight our fires. Also the ability to, like, control and compel, like, energy in the way that this game lets you do is real interesting. Like, I definitely think the energy management system this game employs is the best part of most interesting part of it. See, that was done with the intention of actually getting to tie them down next turn. And that means I don't do quite as much damage as I would like this turn, but that's fine.
I cast light upon the dark.
2 puppets. Fine.
It ends here.
It really is kind of fascinating in how similar it is in a lot of ways, even though it is explicitly and very different. Um, no, I think we're good on these. Despite having the thing to reduce energy costs, I'm still very hesitant to have much high energy value stuff in this deck. And that may be my Slay the Spire instinct. Okay. I'm going to take one moment to grab a drink before going into this, because it turns out this voice is not great for my voice. Alright, now that we've got drink in hand, we may continue. A lonely convenience store interchangeable with any other in the city. Dim fluorescent lights, smudged windows, and faded signs that cheerfully declared sales for things no one needed or wanted. A single tired employee puttered around within. The weak infernal presence I detected wasn't coming from him. No, it was outside, somewhere in the empty parking lot. I began to look, preparing myself for anything. It wasn't until I went around back where a collection of garbage bins and trash lined up along a wooden fence where I found it. There, hanging from the largest limb of a small tree, was a young boy. I thought he was surely dead at first since he was so still, just swaying a bit in the breeze, his small face swollen and purple. He was hung by a skipping rope, and I got him down only to find him breathing. Barely, and a chuckling demon lurking deep within. It was a pitiful thing, and I already knew its name. Time to murder this. Nah. Oh, that's brutal. If that isn't biting commentary right there. Oh my dear. Oh. Let's go with this. Yeah, I know. I know, right? It's such a... It's such a... Yeah.
Release your hold and tremble before the righteous.
I will certainly say that I did not expect this to be like, ugh. We gotta kill this thing right the heck now.
Almighty above, that we may serve in peace and liberty. Back to the pits, I command you.
No, I'm not interested in those. Yeah. Um, but not to the host. I'll take it. I'll try it. We'll try it. Um, Okay, I'm actually going to, before we deal with this storylet, we're gonna have to, like, marinate in that moment lore. What? Oh, that was a rough one. Like, you heard me break character voice at the end of that. That was a thing that happened. Yeah. I don't know if I'm prepared to process that one yet. We're gonna talk to Gideon first. I was back at Gideon's lavish mansion, standing outside the door once again. I'd walked here from the gates at the entrance to the grounds, and all the while wondering if this was indeed the same place I'd visited. I didn't even catch that. You're totally right. Yeah. No, you're right. He did. It did say that he already knew its name. What a fascinating. This game is definitely getting at least another night or two. I don't know how long term this is. We're gonna play this game, but it's definitely worth at least a couple more nights. It was not, after all, in the same part of the city. How could that be? Mansions didn't up and move, did they? Of course, this particular mansion didn't belong to just anyone. This was the abode of a demon. I hesitated before ringing the bell, wondering if I was mad to even come here, but before I could turn around, the door opened. The aged servant again. "The master awaits you within," he stated. Of course he does. Gideon was waiting in the same sitting room I'd been in before. He sat casually in an overstuffed chair, sipping on a glass. Another glass was on the table, along with a jeweled bottle filled with something amber and strong. "Expecting someone?" I said, noticing how the servant had up and vanished the moment we arrived. Gideon's responding smile was gracious. "A welcome guest," he said, though his manners evidently need some reminding. He gestured at the chair across from him and the empty glass with a grin. "I'm not your guest," I growled, but despite my better judgment, I did sit. "Thank you." He took a long sip from his glass, closing his eyes as if to savor it. "You have questions." "This mansion isn't where I found it last time." "That's correct. Staying in one spot isn't ideal when you're in my situation." "And what situation is that?" "Evading the hierarchy. Hell would rather I fell in line, while I'd rather do as I please." A demon on the run from hell? Now that was interesting. "And what pleases me," Gideon continued, "is to engage with mortals. For their souls, yes, among other things. Freely given in exchange for what they deem of equal value, to be perfectly clear." "You're very candid about it." "I believe I should be, considering your vocation." He nodded at my pack filled with many things that could make his existence difficult. "I don't possess mortals. It's all rather tacky and unpleasant for both parties, but I suspect that distinction is less meaningful to you than what I am." "Which is a demon." "Yes, that's right." "Splendid! Then we have an understanding. I know what you are, you know what I am, and we'll be wary enough as we enjoy each other's company." He grabbed the bottle and poured a small amount into my glass. The smell was potent. "No poison, nothing other than it appears to be. I'm not so crude in my methods, you see." I was suspicious, but a demon at odds with hell could make for a useful ally, if a dangerous one. Even I had to admit that. So I drank, and we talked about trivial things for a while, like it was afternoon tea. It was strange, but not unpleasant. I'd need to be careful with this one. Okay, we at least have to see what the other cards are. Fascinating. We're definitely going to be cutting a compel. I wonder... Oh, it's just 60 per card flat? Hold on. That's worth. Yeah, we'll cut a second compel. I haven't seen any positive events so far. But and that's I keep expecting to. I don't know if that's unreasonable, but I keep expecting to. I found myself in an office building, the kind of place with rows upon rows of nearly identical cubicles, differentiated only by the sparse array of personal photographs on display next to the computer monitor. It was well after hours, so almost no one had been down in the lobby, and I'd taken the elevator straight up to the 8th floor. Here, the lights were mostly off, and only the glow of a few monitors and the faint clacking of keyboard keys told me anyone was present at all. I wasn't certain yet why I'd been drawn here. A sense of unease, yes, but nothing overtly infernal. But I'd have been fooled before. I searched among the cubicles, uncertain what I was even looking for. The few people I encountered just stared at me blankly, their eyes fatigued behind their glasses as they desperately struggled to finish their task. They didn't even question what I was doing in their office. And then I found him. A man so clearly at the edge of his fear and frustration you could see it plainly. Tight, pulled askew, dark circles under his eyes, sweat on his brow. It was painful to watch. He slapped the monitor unhelpfully. "Come on!" he shouted. "This can't be happening!" "Everything okay?" I asked him as I approached, knowing full well it was not. He launched himself out of his chair, turning to face me with a look of surprise and horror. His first instinct was to interpose himself between me and his monitor, lest I see whatever he was doing, yet a moment later he slumped back into his sweaty office chair and cradled his head in his hands. "It doesn't matter," he moaned. "I've lost it. I've lost everything." I could feel the barest presence of a demon. It was whispering in his mind, preying on his terror. It wouldn't be long before he succumbed, I was certain. I placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Perhaps go home for the evening," I suggested. "It'll be better tomorrow, I'm sure." "Oh, you're sure, are you?" His laugh was bitter, and he cut it off before he devolved into tears. "What do you know about it? Who are you, even?" "Just a friend. Someone who knows what it feels like when everything comes crashing down." I wasn't certain why I said that, or even what I was referencing, but it felt right. "That's so." He thought over my words, chewing his lip. "Well, I won't have a home to go home to for long after this. My own stupid fault, too." "Tell me about it." I pulled over a nearby office chair and sat with him for a time. He said his name was Eric. He was told me about the risky trades he'd been counting on and how his scheme had all come crashing down today. He'd put everything on the line: his home, his life, his family, his job. It had been a fool's hope, a luring one. And now it's over. There was a limit to how much he could manipulate the numbers. He wouldn't be able to hide this. By the time I left, Eric claimed he felt better, but I knew it was a lie. He wanted me gone so he could do whatever he had to do. I wanted to pull him back from the yawning abyss, but I couldn't. It was a feeling that would stick with me as I rode off. I... Why'd you pin that one, Tori? Oh, okay. Totally fine. Ugh. I think I have a suspicion that we're going to get the opportunity to improve these people's lives as we progress through this over and over again. Um, and that all of the suffering we're going through in these early runs and the bad things that are happening to these people that we can't do anything about, thus are suffering crises of faith over, will eventually turn over, I think. I entered what appeared to be an office in the middle of, as like so many others in this barren city, full of cubicles and empty desks. Only some of the lights were on. The office was closed, and yet the door had been wide open, and I could sense the inferno within, something weak and feeble, yet it pulled at me even so. I needed to find it quickly. I didn't. It took me over an hour looking around everywhere. The desks were empty, the break room was empty, the adjoining offices were empty. It was quiet. Except when I was near the supply closet, I heard a faint sound. Giggling. Sure enough, I opened the door to find a man hidden behind the boxes and supplies inside, curled up into a fetal position and giggling madly. The demon was within, clutching tightly at its control with its limited strength. I didn't need to reveal its name. I knew this would not take long. So there is an interesting note. Like we talked about, he already knew its name. And there is a note of that where, it could have to do with, sorry, I'm trying to think and speak at the same time, and my words are getting in the way of my mouth. It could so easily have to do with, minus 19? It could have to do with he does figure out these demons' names somehow. And so it could be related to his personal experience, or it could be something else going on there. And we simply don't have the knowledge to confidently say either way. But I think you're right to read familiarity and anger into that conversation.
unworthy spirit.
But it is certainly, like, when this being a game initially came up, we certainly talked about what it was saying and what it might be saying and what it might mean. Related to, you know, all these topics that are relatively close to home for a lot of us. Because it's very unique. You know what, we can start taking some of these. Some of these would be really good. If we can miracle into them. And I have enough miracles ways to draw cards that a priest was crying on the steps of an apartment building. The back of one hand was on his forehead, a kind of woe is me pose you might not expect a person to actually do. Before I could say a word, the priest must have sensed my presence. I didn't mean to startle him, but I did. "Get away," he said. "Don't touch me." "What's wrong?" I asked him. I've sinned, and it's something for which God will never forgive me." This was a claim I'd heard before too many times in confessionals. I always had the same answer. All sins can be forgiven in the eyes of God. I had a voice, deeper in register, using proper grammar and old words that I defaulted to when I was still with the church. People expect a Catholic priest to talk a certain way. "As a priest, you should know this," I added. But really, who was I to tell this elder priest what he should know? "Not the sin," he spit back. "Not me." I worried that what this man had done to be so inconsolable. Priests, as I know too well, are hardly immune to evil. "Someone came to me," the elder priest explained. "Someone I knew. Someone I purported to care about. They said they wanted me to hear their confession, that they had sins they'd hung on to for years, sins which they were finally ready to repent." This priest spoke with fear, like someone had a rifle trained on him and he was pretending not to notice. "I'd ask what sins," I said, "but I know that's between the priest, confessor, and God." "And what if God doesn't understand?" he asked me, looking up with tears in his eyes. "You and I both know that's impossible," I said, and he leaned against me until his tears subsided. Yo! These can end well. So I would guess sometime in the next couple times we get to have that conversation, we hear more about it, and it's worth. Because we know more about it, like we get to learn and understand that no, that actually is a horrible thing that's going on, or something like that. When I came upon Angel standing once again in a deserted alley. Why always an alley, I wondered. They looked at me with obvious puzzlement. I'd wanted to ask them something else, but I already knew this meant something was on their mind and I'd get nothing else out of them. "What now?" I sighed. "I know that you've consorted with the mortal witch." Oddly, it sounds less like an accusation and more of a question, as if they just couldn't quite believe it. It took me a moment before I realized they could only be referring to Lydia. "What of it?" "Does your kind not hunt these witches still?" "My kind?" Angel waved vaguely in my direction. "The members of your church. You're no longer associated with them, I know this, but you do carry on their teachings." at least when it comes to the hunting of evil in the infernal. I stared at them with incredulity and almost laughed. I would have if I didn't think Angel would somehow take that personally. The church hasn't hunted witches for hundreds of years. They looked almost disappointed. That's not a very long time, is it? I take it you think they should be hunting witches, and so should I? The irony is that the original mortals they called witches didn't gain their power through contact with the infernal. That power came from the Almighty, the very one the church professed to worship. It was only after being hunted that they turned to the infernal for aid. Is that supposed to mean something to me? My point is that the witches did turn to the infernal, and once they'd done so, they were forever damned. Meaning Lydia is as well, I take it. She practices the craft. They nodded very solemnly. And her soul sustained by infernal contact. So, yes. Well, I'm not here to hunt her. Angel said nothing, but their look told me I might want to reconsider that stance. That I'd be a fool not to. I said I'd take it under advisement. It was time to get back to business. Going up to a 5% discount is very good. And I guarantee there's at least one of these that I would bring that down to 1. That could be quite good. That's very good. 15 and 2? That's absurd. That might be the upgrade right there. It's 15 and 2. Yeah, 15 and 2. Alright. Greater Demon time again. I hope that this isn't a mistake. It's just a bookstore. I'd repeated it to myself 3 times already, but I felt no more convinced now than when I walked up to the place. The lights were off, the yellowed sign on the door was turned to close, but somehow I knew it would be unlocked. I didn't want to test my theory. I didn't want to go inside. I could feel the evil slithering around the shadows within like a nightmare-made form, and it was all I could do to keep my mind from turning around and walking away as quickly as I could. Any sane man would do so. I guess I'm not a sane man, am I? I'd said it to myself with a chuckle, more to light the oppressive air that threatened to smother me the moment I pulled the door open. It didn't help. The shop is closed. I heard the voice before I saw anyone. A woman's voice, sharp and brittle. I realized that she must be standing there in the dark, watching me. The little light that came in from the street showed rows of books on the shelves, stacks and piles of them, haphazardly placed and covered with layers and layers of dust. I searched for a sign of her. She must be nearby. Hello? The woman behind the voice approached now. I saw her eyes first, reflecting light like a cat's peering out from the shadows and filled with venom. Then she entered the light, an old woman, withered like the demon within had sucked out everything vital and yet continued to devour what remained. Everything about her screamed hate, like she was about to leap and snarl, but she stayed where she was, stock still. There was someone inside her screaming for help. Faint, but I could still make it out. I opened my pack and gathered my resolve. I'm not here to shop, I said. A 5-stage? And this is not even a greater demon. Or this is not even like a round boss demon. This gets scarier every time. Burn that. burn that.
So we may crush this evil.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Back to the pit whence it came.
I don't love how slow this is being done. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I understand now when I cycle my deck too quickly, effectively. It's a mechanic in place to make sure I don't like I don't get into it's an anti-infinite effect. Now you could still theoretically get into an infinite probably with cards like Chains that bind, but it would be much more difficult.
Tell me your name, demon!
So I'm trying to kill this Vishak before the memories die. Okay.
Faith is my shield, and faith is my sword. I cast light upon the darkness.
Oh, that's a ton of potential damage. They're doing like, because they deal something like 20 damage to themselves. So we're going to take every opportunity the demon gives us that is it not killing us. And we're going to take the... We're going to use our... we're going to do what we can to make that very effective for us.
I say to thee, release your hold and tremble before the righteous. I speak now to the host, so lost in shame and despair. Hear my voice. Another
Sorry if I'm not talking as much as I maybe would like. Um, I'm currently laser focused on just trying to
You are
complete
loved.
this.
Listen not to the dark whispers. Believe you are cherished.
Because I'm so like these demon designs are so fascinating, and have you noticed that no two demons have had the same minion? They're all unique. There's no place in this game
I command you to
where
be
it's
gone.
like repeating itself or like conceding its own conceding like uh to like scope. It's all speak that your name seems good. It's all in uh it's all in theme, kind of, or for lack of a better word. I found myself in the smoky, dimly lit nightclub I'd visited once before. Similar to the last time, I was certain I hadn't sought it out. It had invited me inside, not in a friendly way, but with an air of wary appraisal, like I might be something chewed up, used, and spat out. I also realized something else. This was nowhere near where I'd found the club the last time. It couldn't be, not unless it could transport me across half the city, if it could do that. But it wasn't at all the club doing these things, was it? I knew better, however. Lydia was waiting for me inside, although her air of nonchalance as she smoked her long cigarette holder made it seem as if she wasn't. I knew better, however. There was a hunger in her eyes, a need that was almost unmistakable. This place is like Gideon's mansion, isn't it? It moves around. That's why it isn't here where it was the last time. She took another long drag, her expression turning dark. Of course you've met him. I should have realized he'd be sniffing around you by now. I take it that's a problem. What's important, she said, is that you're here. To help you. Yes, I remember what you said. To help each other. Lydia corrected me. She took another long drag on her cigarette holder. Then, as if coming to a decision, she sat and gestured to the seat across from her. I sat, but didn't intend to stay for very long. You're hunting Malys, she said. It wasn't a question. That's why you came to the city, yeah? I made no reply. And you've died here, she continued, only to begin the night anew, as if none of it even happened. How do you know all this? She rolled her eyes, languidly blowing cigarette smoke in a long plume until it joined the haze of the club. I found it mesmerizing to watch, somehow. A little bird told me, she finally answered. Lots of little birds in this city, you see. That's how I survive. I'd warn you away from the devil you seek for the sake of your own survival, but I doubt you'd listen to me. I shrugged. Dying doesn't appear to be the hindrance I thought it'd be. Then let me tell you this. She leans in close, her eyes sharp with intent. The devil lies at the heart of the city. You need only to keep going and eventually you'll reach its lair. The trick, and here she leaned back in her seat, will be to live long enough to see it. That's it? I considered. Nothing more specific? That's it. I could tell she knew far more than she was saying, but that just as I could tell she had no intention of telling me the rest. At least not yet. Thank you, I said. She joined her in a drink before moving on. I don't have any ally cards. That doesn't help me That also doesn't help me. Well, that could help me, but I don't plan on using it. I'll continue investing. Investing seems really good. A 3-story brownstone loomed with empty lots on either side, sticking out like a broken tooth. It was probably decent once, even a little swanky, but now every window was broken, boarded up with plywood or both. The sole light in the building flickered above its basement door where a steel-faced woman dug through her coat looking for something. "Can you help me? I can't seem to find my key." She looked exhausted, like her anxiety was leading to insomnia, like she was staring down the barrel of a gun waiting for it to go off. I felt a little sorry for her. The key was just lying there at her feet. Strange she hadn't spotted it. I picked up the key. It was heavier than it looked, brass tarnished to the point of bruised with surprisingly sharp teeth. She snatched it out of my hand. "There you are," she said, holding the key up to the light before placing it on her tongue and swallowing. A jagged metal pill down the hot hatch. I gaped in disbelief as she swallowed it like a baby bird, teeth visibly protruding from under her throat. Then she opened the door, apparently unlocked this whole time, and motioned for me to follow, casually, as if she hadn't just swallowed a cut of solid metal. Despite my reservations, I followed her, and the floorboards cracking and creaking under my feet. Inside was a basement apartment, dark and impossibly cluttered. The sense of evil was strong here, crawling across my skin. "She's been waiting for a priest," the woman suddenly announced. Her voice belonged to something else now, stentorian, ancient. It echoed impossibly, ricocheting inside my head like a bullet. Her strange behavior was now explained. The infernal had taken root within her like a tapeworm. In the light, the full magnitude of the clutter was revealed. Jars, stacks upon stacks, piled in corners, crammed in cupboards. They contained thumbtacks, cotton balls, small toys. "Today she eats dead things," the entity inside her whispered, blood in her teeth. It stood facing me by the counter, swaying as if to music, the host's tired, unblinking eyes not on me, not focused anywhere. A single tear ran down the woman's face. Someone was still in there. I had to find her. Okay. Well. What an interesting game. It inflicted some vulnerable on me. Interesting. It's probably going to swap to being very aggressive as soon as I progress to the next phase. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Stop the fire. Deny it. Refuse it. Reject it. Hear my voice and return to us. Reveal your true name.
Aeson the Devourer. Uh-huh. I love how the scale of the demons changes literally depending on the strength of the demon. Like, this is a greater demon, so it takes up a whole lot more of the screen. Quite literally than the lesser demons. And when we were fighting Mammoth, he took up the entire screen. $56 damage attack, jeez. Burn one. Or speak thy name.
We have always fought against the most ancient of evils.
Which will cut the damage. And we're gonna shield, and that should be at least most of the damage. Okay, we're not gonna get there this turn, but we can get close.
Then you are our counterpart. Aid me in the battle against the shadows.
Maybe if I'd applied it to Aeson instead, but I'm forgetting to do that now. Out. Stage 3, I'm gonna presume it's getting ready to go on full offense.
Speak now to the host, so lost in shame and despair. Hear my voice.
Foul demon.
Be gone, creature of hell.
Yikes. Oh, no. No artifact. No curio here. Judgment of Osiris. No, I don't want any of these. As I left the strip behind me and entered the inner core, I noticed a shift in the city around me. The lights were brighter here, and the city buildings taller, yet it somehow seemed more desolate, more lonely. Even riding my bike, I could hear the wind whistling through the alleyways. The few people I saw shambling along the streets did so furtively. The sense of danger was everywhere, and then I felt it. A presence, as strong an infernal power as perhaps any I'd met in the city so far. I slowed the bike to a stop. There was no traffic to block here anyhow. The streets were quiet. I listened, even even over the rumbling of the idle motorcycle. I heard it, a sing-song whispering that carried over the wind. I love that we saw the open italics bracket as it was doing these lines. That's very funny to me. Oh, here we are, the flies can see it true. The exorcist has come to play. Oh, here we are, now what am I to do? I looked around and finally saw him. A young man lurking in a nearby alley, squatting down in the darkness. His eyes glittered with malevolence. I got off my bike and warily walked towards him. He was the source of the infernal presence, it was clear. A host subsumed by a demon as powerful as the one that guarded the strip, and I doubted this one would let me pass any more easily than the last. Yet when I got to the alley, he was gone. I know what it is you seek. I know it lies ahead. Yet I know you'll never reach it, and soon you will be dead. The sing-song voice came from above. When I looked, there he was, scuttling along the wall like a spider or a fly. Come down and face me if you're so certain, I commanded. It giggled, a sound that was high and shrill and which made my skin crawl. The stench of rot decay assaulted me, and as it scuttled down and came to roost on a nearby bin. The young man's skin was mottled with disease and weeping sores. His eyes were a blank white, no pupils at all, and they blinked rapidly in a manner that was almost more unsettling than anything else. The boy is mine, I took him, when the light forsook him. The smell was getting worse. I needed to end this now. We'll see about that, I swore. Anybody want to place guesses on what the name of this demon is? It's certainly like a pestilence-related demon. Ugh, that's rough. Just trying to check something right quick. Okay. Fascinating. I can't quite get over how incredible it is that like how incredible the energy system of this game is. Like, I can fully,
Tell me
like,
your name,
store
demon.
up energy for later turns. Beelzebub. Look at how much of the screen this thing fills up. What is happening here? There's a face up there too? This thing is horrifying. There's faces all through all of these, but like, I can't even tell what's happening in this, almost. Yeah. Okay. So, lose the ability to retain 24 times 4? Oh, because I'm vulnerable. Okay. I might die right here, just to be so you know. I'm amazed I survived. That is now only useful as energy. Okay, now that I know that that's what he's alternating, that's the pattern here, I think. I know I can't afford to do one step forward this phase. Do I have a stack of Fortify? No.
Deny it. Refuse it. Reject it. Hear my voice.
Oh, thank goodness for Speak Thy Name. Oh, that's a different Beelzebub's curse. No, that's not one I'm taking. Drawing fewer cards is death.
Those who stand within the holy light, be solemn and bear witness.
I do believe I am losing this turn, but I'm at least going to try my hardest not to die here. Spend all my resources and all that. Ugh, but I am just gonna die. I can't do anything about it.
No, I'm not done yet.
Fascinating.
There's
What a good game! I'm still
you can say what you say, dance in the masquerade. Still the blood drips steady as rain.
the near
There's a
the kid
light in
getting
the
hanged
center,
by a
but the
the
shell
kid
is
hanging
opaque.
presumably
There's a
themselves
smile
by
upon
a
your
jump rope
face, but I
is
know
I
that it's
think
fake. You can run
the
all
most
you
explicitly
like.
like
There is
not
nowhere to
random but just
hide,
like
and the road keeps going.
explicitly dark turn in the game. Like the rest of the game is, it's you're fighting demons and it's dark themes and all, but I still don't know that I'm entirely over randomly encounter a kid that has nearly died from hanging themselves. Um, but I think rightly, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be over that. I think that was intentional. And I think one thing that this game has done is it's taken it all very seriously. And seriously in a way that, like, it is simultaneously it is like respectful while being this like horror rock opera. Like it's got like this incredible art style and music and a remarkably unique like way of playing the like for a deck builder. It feels very good and unique, and we're definitely going to be playing it some more. And it feels, I don't know. I could probably sit here and struggle to like explain to you how good I feel this game is for like half an hour. Oh, the music just okay.
There's a violence hid by
Um,
silence, and it's following you around. You can say what you
I
say, dance in the
am curious to
masquerade.
see what
Still
some of
the
the world
blood
building is
drips
around how
steady as rain.
demons work.
There's a light in the center, but the shell is opaque. There's a smile upon your face, but I know that it's fake. You can run all you
Um,
like. There is nowhere to hide, and the road keeps going.
and I like that it has like I wonder how, because we have these things that are like the demons are like lesser or dysmorphia, and then there's also the demons that are like jackal demon and all these named demons and like these explicit like horror thing. And then there's the one where you're talking with the man who has lost everything. and he's talking about how his and it talks about how you can feel the demon creeping in. And I find myself wondering about, like, I find myself wondering how this game is handling mental illness, which was, of course, something that we were wondering, like, as we started this adventure, right? Like, before we started this, it was like, oh, you're dealing with demons. And so, of course, in today's world, you're asking, okay, how does it deal with mental illness? And I'm still unclear on that. Certainly not in an off-putting way. This game is cool enough and has treated what it's dealing with seriously enough so far that I'm willing to cut it a fairly long leash for the moment. But I do want to. We are going to be playing this more next Wednesday. I'm not gonna. I was off this week today, so which is why we were able to get such an early. Why we were able to start at 9. We're going to be doing Malys for the next couple weeks, starting at 10 p.m. Wednesday night. And once we're done with that, we'll probably transition into another game. You can expect me here Monday as well. Of course, for Blueprints. And we'll see where that takes us. I was deeply disappointed at the end of last night. We broke that Keeper of the Tithes, trying to finally open our way into the antechamber, and realized that we didn't have the space to use the key to the secret garden too late. And so, not gonna lie, that was a fairly disheartening way to end that stream. But we're gonna move forward. So, all that being said, hope all of you guys have a good night. I will see you Monday, or earlier. Always a chance I do a surprise stream. And the only way to get notified about that, of course, is to join us in the Discord. Discord link is pinned in chat, and of course in my description, in the channel description. Of course, follow if you haven't already, all that good stuff. I hope you have a good night. Bye!